And the last passage is a passage evaluating the work of Steele and his colleagues. And I want to draw your attention to maybe the most important word in the passage in line 14. He and his colleague claim to have found evidence. This is an author in doubt. If you believe Steele, you don't say that they claimed to have found evidence. You say they have found evidence. All right. And then the rest of it is an explanation of Lamarckian evolution, which is that you evolve and pass that evolution on to your children hereditarily. And Steele is saying they have found that hereditary mechanism, and that hereditary mechanism in line 42 is a virus. Okay. Other biologists not convinced. This author not convinced. Line 44, even if the process is possible, does it ever actually occur? And Steele says so, but other biologists aren't so easily swayed. Line 55. They suggest there may be other less radical explanations. So the main point of the passage is that Steele claims to have found evidence of Lamarckian evolution. B. Steele and his colleagues have devised an account of a mechanism by which acquired characteristics should be passed on. They claim to have found evidence for the operation of the Lamarckian mechanism. There you go. And notice how it includes not just the content, but also the author's attitude. There's your main point. For question 21, why did the author call that mutation a typo? What does she say? The most common type of mutation is a sort of typo that occurs when the DNA is transcribed into RNA. What does that mean? Why is it a typo? Well, what is a typo? I mean, a typo is an error in typography. Here, it is an error in the transcription process from DNA to RNA. So it is an inadvertent error in the copying process. C, it is an instance of imperfect copying. Yes, it absolutely is. For question 22, we knew this question was coming. Come on, you get an author with this much attitude, this much sass, you're going to be asked about it. What's the author's attitude? Doubt. Look, answer choice D. Delightful. Doubt. Dave. For 23, I bet D was attractive, but notice that the passage is, okay, if there are overall merits of an evolutionary theory, we're talking about Lamarckianism or Lamarckism, Lamarckosity. We're talking about Lamarck evolution. But this passage is not about the overall merits of Lamarckian evolution. It is about the efforts of Steele to show that Lamarckian evolution exists. And that's not a huge difference, but it is a difference, and an important difference. In order for D to be correct, we'd have to be evaluating Lamarck. We're not evaluating Lamarck. We're evaluating the work of Steele. Answer choice B, we're describing the efforts of a modern biologist to vindicate this long disregarded evolutionary theory. Who's the modern biologist? Steele. What evolutionary theory is he trying to vindicate? Lamarck's. For question 24, the function of the last paragraph. The last paragraph answers the question, if it's even possible, does it ever actually occur? Well, we don't know, because this is how it works. We don't view things directly. It never is an evolutionary mechanism directly observed. Instead, you try to build a story. So that last paragraph tells us how we would know whether or not it ever really happened. Answer choice E, to indicate the nature of the evidence. How we would know, what kind of evidence we'd have. And, for the theory outlined in the preceding paragraphs, was there a theory outlined in the preceding? Yes, the Neo-Lamarckian, the one described by Steele. This is how we'd know. This is the kind of evidence that Steele would apply to his theory. For question 25, what does the author say about, we don't even know what it's about. It's totally open-ended. All right, so how do we know that answer choice B is right, that Steele and his colleagues haven't actually observed the process of reverse transcription? And so we've got to have just direct evidence. And line 30 says that Steele hypothesizes that the altered RNA then reverts back into DNA. If Steele is hypothesizing reverse transcription, then Steele did not observe it. If he had observed it, then we would not have said he hypothesized that it happened. We would have said he observed it happening. The hypothesis tells us directly and explicitly that he has not observed the phenomenon. For 26, we want to strengthen Steele's position, and Steele's position was that the Lamarckian evolution works because of a virus carrying the DNA to the reproductive cells. And if A is true, and if we have altered DNA in reproductive cells by introducing a virus, then that tells us that the mechanism works. And it doesn't prove that Steele's right in his hypothesis, but it does show that he might be. It shows that it can work. It strengthens his position. For 27, we want the same kind of evidence. So don't get carried away with the semantic content of what's happening in this scenario. Instead, focus on the structure of the object at hand. What kind of evidence? And the kind of evidence from the last paragraph is a signature of past events that is written all over the genes. So what we'd want is indirect, never direct, indirect evidence. Something that would seem like a signature, like a what's a fingerprint? Hard word to remember. Something that shows the fingerprints of the author. Answer choice A, direct evidence. B, direct evidence. C is no evidence at all. And it's certainly not the fingerprints of the author. D, we're getting some kind of evidence, but again, it's not the fingerprints of the author. Answer choice E, however, is exactly the same kind of evidence, a vocabulary that you wouldn't see elsewhere that gives evidence of the author's use. It's a signature written all over the text. And that's how we know it's the right answer. And that brings this passage and this section to a close.